Hey sippers, welcome to our show. While we're spilling, grab a cocktail and start sipping. Get ready to unwind with your girls.
Thank you for joining us for Cocktails and Conversation with Your Girls. I'm your girl, Miss Jones to you, and these are my beautiful co-hosts for tonight.
Hey everyone, I'm Shataz.
Hey sippers, it's your girl, Miss Shay Marie.
Hey sippers, it's your girl, Primp and Proper.
We are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram at Cocktails and Conversations. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight, we're discussing the effects of domestic abuse, and we will spill about a man who went to the extreme to spy on his ex-girlfriend. Remember, we want you all to chime in, so leave your comments below.
Tonight's featured cocktail is a twist to the original, the Screwdriver Remix. It's served with 2 ice cubes, 2 ounces of vodka, 3 ounces of orange juice, and remixed with 2 ounces of champagne. And also, to give it to spaz, to top it off with sugar on the rim and an orange slice for garnish. All right, ladies, let's try it.
Don't forget that orange peel on your side. All right, so what is mine? Is just orange juice?
Yes.
I was trying to taste like, okay, so what am I supposed to be tasting?
Orange juice.
Oh, sorry.
Is mine orange juice too?
No, yours have vodka and champagne.
Mine tastes like orange juice.
Right.
So no measuring cup, I bet you. Did you use measuring?
I bet if you keep drinking, you won't say it's only orange juice.
Did you use measuring?
Yes.
Shame the devil.
My
and tell the
eye,
truth.
you didn't say what kind of measuring. You didn't say measuring cup. I used measuring. My eye measured how much.
So you put more orange juice than liquor.
No, because taste
Champagne.
mine.
It tastes like
I
orange
tasted
juice.
it has vodka.
She says it tastes like orange juice. I'm pretty sure all 3 of our drinks taste the same.
Yeah, because it's
So everybody got a virgin drink.
No, this is liquor.
Did you shake it up?
Yes, and I taste liquor in mine. I taste the champagne, and then I topped it off.
I love
After I
orange
put it
juice.
in the glass, I topped it off with more champagne.
So
Did
sippers,
you put the vodka in it?
Mm-hmm.
so sippers, if you want
I put
vitamin
2
C,
ounces.
Make this drink.
According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence organization, there are an average of 20 people who experience physical violence at the hands of an intimate partner. This equates to more than 10 million abuse victims yearly and pretty much sums up the fact that every person in the world knows at least one victim or they have been a victim themselves. This brings us to today's question of the day. Have you or anyone close to you been a victim of any sort of physical or mental abuse, and what is your advice to current or past abuse victims?
all right. This topic, it really it really hits home because I personally, even though my situation wasn't drastic, but I personally have been a victim of domestic violence. I was in a relationship for a guy for a long time, and it wasn't anything that was consecutive where he did it all the time, but he did put his hand on me and slapped me. And I remember having to go to work. It was the morning of, let's say it was around 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I still had to get up to go to work. And even though I wasn't bruised or anything, I just remember being just overly emotional. And I ended up telling my brother what happened, and he stays a few hours away, and he drove down here and punched him. So, of course we don't want to retaliate violence with violence, but, when I think about the situation, I can't help but think that, what is it that I did to allow someone to be so upset that they would put their hands on me? I think that advice that I would give to anybody who has experienced domestic violence is that once it happens one time, you have to get yourself out of the situation. I don't care how old you are. how angry someone gets you. It doesn't matter to what extreme someone has done something to you. It doesn't make sense for you to put your hands on another adult for no reason. So anybody in a relationship who is experiencing physical violence, because I've personally seen it with my two eyes, not that I've personally went through it, because after that one time it was done, that was over and done with, but I've seen it in people that I know. The encounters or the physical abuse just gets worse. So it could gone from slapping to now punching to it. The situation gets worse. So especially when you have kids, you have to think about, and these things are being showcased in front of your kids. What are you showing your kids? What behavior, especially little girls, little boys, what are you showcasing them that this is okay? So my best advice is, it's not easy, but seek help. You know, if you know that you don't have the strength to just leave, there are shelters, there are different things that are offered to women or men, because men go through physical abuse too. There are different programs that's offered. Seek help and get yourself out of the situation.
Well, personally experienced domestic abuse, and it's easier to say, you know, leave if it happens once or twice, but it's not really that easy. It went on for months. I didn't leave until, I don't know, it got real bad, to the point I had to get a restraining order. I don't know if he pulled out a gun, I don't know. But the bad part is, I didn't tell anyone. I think I told my best friend. She was the only one that knew, but I didn't let my family know. Like, I would hide the black eyes when I would go home. Sometimes I didn't go home because I didn't want my family to see the abuse that he caused. I want to tell the viewers, you know, love yourself. Recognize your worth. It's not love. I thought it was. You know, that was my first domestic abuse relationship. And I'd never been a victim before, and I didn't know what to expect, because what started off as verbal abuse led to physical, and I was like, okay, maybe he was upset. It was just one time. But no, once he hit me once, it just kept happening for no reason. And I realized that this man has a mental problem, because he would beat me because I wouldn't speak. Like, I would sit there and just, if I smirk. One day we were driving in the car, and he thought that I looked at this guy and just started punching me in traffic. So just know your worth, love yourself, and get out. Because it's not love, it's a mental problem. Get out, because it could get a lot worse. Like I said, we was in a moving vehicle. He could have pushed me out the car. He pulled out a gun on me. That's what really made me call the cops, because he tried to kill me. Like, it was crazy. So don't stay, ladies. It's not love. Love yourself, because, you know, you don't want your family to lose you or whatever. Know your value, and those people are sick. I mean, seriously sick, man. Like, for me to not do anything and for you to just start beating up on me for no reason, that's psychotic. You're crazy.
You know, when you said that, you made me think about this story that I once heard. After he finished hitting her, he said, "You see what you made me do to you?" Like, yeah. Like he told her, "Do you see what you made me do to you?" And yeah. It's like, I made you do this to me? Like, you understand what I mean? So, yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Shadez. Sorry, I just had to interject. That is crazy.
I have never been in a situation with domestic violence, but I do have a close loved one going through the situation, and actually going through the situation at this current moment. So with that, because I've never been in that position, it's like, and I'm so independent, for me, it's like, okay, you need to leave. You need to get out of this situation. And I can see that it may not be drastic at the moment, but there are signs. Like, you can notice the signs from the beginning. For example, my first red flag for that person is to cause a rift between you and your loved ones.
That's what they
That's
do.
the first sign. They want to they want to isolate you.
Isolate
Once
you.
they can cause an issue with you and your family members and then isolate you, they have you at their mercy. And that was the first sign I noticed with this particular person. And I feel bad because I kind of aided in that, because I felt like, well, if this person wants to be away from the family or whatever, then oh well, I don't care. Not knowing that later it was gonna progress to domestic violence. And like, to be honest, I didn't have the tools or the resources or the knowledge to deal with a situation like that. And I spoke with someone and he told me, he sent me some brochures and stuff on domestic violence. And I learned that it's a cycle and that it's a cycle that repeats itself. The person will mentally abuse you, belittle you, then it can get physical, then there's a period of separation, but then there's like remorse. The person is showing remorse, and then you go back to the situation, and then the cycle starts back over from the beginning once they won you back over. And when that person sent me the brochures, I was like, okay, this is exactly what my loved one is going through. It's that cycle, and some kind of way you have to break out of the cycle before it's too late. I don't know how or what advice to give to break out of the cycle, because I've never been in a situation, but I feel like it's something that's going to keep repeating itself. It just keeps going around and around. And the closest I've come to domestic violence was when I was married. I remember, because I got married young, and I did something crazy. Before I got married, me and my husband, we were like kind of on bad terms. Like, for me to even say I do at the down the aisle, I was already thinking to myself, I really don't want to say I do, but I'm going to just do it and I can get a divorce later. So that gives you an idea of how the marriage started. So I think it was during the engagement period, I met another guy. And, we talked and entertained. Mind you, I was 18 years old when I got married. So I started talking like on the phone with another guy, and I remember the guy came to my mom's house to pick me up to take me out on a date, and I'm engaged to someone else. And I remember my mom did not agree for me to go out on this date, and she called my fiance at the time and told him. And when I tell you, him and his friends for some kind of way tracked us down and like basically drugged me out of the car, and was like, he was going off at the other guy, like what he's gonna do to the other guy, but then it was like, I should do this or whatever to you. And like from that moment, that fear hit me, and I was like, I still married him, but still in the back of my mind, I had that fear, like how far I can go and push him, But the marriage dissolved, and, it never got physical beyond that point. But I say this to say that you could act like you want to hit me, I'm going to be gone, because I ain't got time to be slapped and punched in the face. I don't know what that feels like, and I don't want to know what it feels like.
And before you start, you know how you said the cycle continues? Mm-hmm. I looked him up years later, and he still is beating up on women. Mm-hmm.
it's been like 3 domestic violence cases after me. So it's a mental problem.
Definitely is. As for me, I used to be ashamed of my story because I just felt like people wouldn't expect me to be in that situation, and people didn't know. Even the people closest to me didn't know. It wasn't until I like got over it and I was able to voice like what happened to me. I was in a very bad, violent relationship for about 7 years. And I can't remember the first time it got physical, but I remember one day where it took it to the next level. It was my 18th birthday. I would never forget. I got dragged, I got spit on, I got dragged through the mud, like actual physical mud. Um, I had bruises on my body, and I still didn't stay. I mean, I still didn't leave. I left at the time, but then, they say they're sorry, you all I have, I won't do it again, and I went back. I was 18 years old, and I was with this person since I was 15. So, oh, I'm in love, this and that. He said he won't do it again. To the point, like, me and my best friend almost fell out, because she was like, if you go back with him, I'm not going to be your friend no more. Which I'm not going to, like, thank God she was still my friend, but then that makes you want to choose sides. And then it put me in an uncomfortable space because I was like telling him, like, no, she doesn't want to be my friend. Look what you did. Like, I'm about to lose my best friend over you because you hit me and da-da-da, this and that. And the reason why she found out is because I think I called her while it was happening, and he, like, grabbed the phone. And that's how she ended up finding out, because I never told my best friend. And it just got worse after that day. Like, I faced death a couple of times where he put out a gun on me. Like, he would cock it back. I remember I was driving in Boca. I was yelling out the window for somebody to help me. Nobody came to help me. He would be going like 100 miles per hour in a residential area. I could have got hit in a car crash. My mama don't know where I'm at. I could have got stabbed a couple of times. It was times where I was on the floor and he's stomping on my head. It just got really, really bad. And it's like he would always play the victim at the end of the day. It got to a point where he would say, I can't live without you. I'm going to kill myself if you leave me. And it kind of made me feel like, oh, because I was in bondage with my loyalty. I'd rather hurt myself than to leave and hurt you. So I felt like I was bounded to him, like I owed him that. I would not want him to kill himself. Nothing bad happened to him and that blood be on my hands. So I stayed longer than I should. But then one day I said enough is enough. I was like 22 years old. And it was like a week before Valentine's Day. And and then let me tell you this. As a woman, when you're when you see things growing up, or when you don't have a clear definition or what it is, what love is distorted, your version of love. So I was used to dysfunction. I thought, oh, everybody boyfriend and girlfriend fight. Because you see your cousins going through it. You see your cousins' friends going through it. You see your parents probably go through it, that domestic violence kind of thing. So you feel like, oh, it's normal. It always happens as long as you get through it. But then a part of me felt like this is not normal. So it was the last time, girl, that day I thought I was going to die. I went to his house, I think because he wasn't picking up my phone call, and we were arguing that day. And he opened the door, and I was just like talking to him, and then it's just like a switch went off. I was like, I'm leaving. As soon as I was headed for the door, he just dragged me to the garage. He was like, let me see your phone. And I'm like, what? No. And the reason why I didn't want to give him my phone, because he would break my phones. Like that was probably like the 4th iPhone I had in a month. And he never paid for it. I had to always buy another iPhone. I was like, no, you're not getting my phone. I put my iPhone in my underwear. Like, this boy tried to rip my clothes off, trying to get the iPhone. So I like huddled on the floor. He started stomping on my head like I'm a dog or something. I managed to get out I managed to run to the bathroom and try to escape out the window, but the window was so small, so I'm just yelling out, help, help. He broke the door off the hinges and started beating me up, stomping on me, my head again in the bathtub, dragging me to his room. And let me tell you how, like you said, it is so mental. After he finished stomping on my head some more, he pulls me up and looks me in the eye and says, I love you. That's when I like kind of woke up like, it is time for me to go. And I was like, and then he like tried to kiss me, and I was like, get the hell away from me. And I like ran, and I ran to the kitchen. I don't know if my first instinct was to get a knife or what, or I tried to run for the door. I don't know. But he ended up getting the knife, and he was like, I'm going to kill you. And right then and there, I was like, yeah, my life is over. And I just quickly, I wasn't spiritual at the time. I wasn't going to no church, but I was like, I just kept thinking about my mom. I'm like, who's going to tell my mom what really happened? Because I knew at this point, if he killed me, he going to kill himself. There's no way, oh, he going to kill me and then live. No. He's going to kill himself, and nobody's going to know what happened to me. Nobody's going to write this story. Nobody's going to know it. Everybody's going to have questions. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to die. And all of a sudden, you guys, as soon as he was about to charge at me, it's like something shifted, and he just walked away, dropped the knife, and went in his room and closed the door. When I tell you I ran out that house so fast, that was the last time I ever been in that house. And mind you, I was with that person for 7 years, so it took me so long, and I faced death many times, and it took for that to happen, for me to finally wake up and say that was enough. And like it reminded me, I don't mean to get biblical, but when what's his name? His wife was leaving Sodom or Gomorrah, and she looked back. I promise you, I sat in the car, and this is how you so used to dysfunction. I sat in the car for like 30 seconds. I looked back to see if he was going to chase after me, because that's what I was used to. Before I finally walked away, I didn't quickly drive off. I paused for a minute to see if he was coming. He didn't come. And I kind of still felt like it was kind of weird that I moved on, because I was still looking for him. Like, oh, he didn't even call me, or he didn't. And I felt like I wasn't, even though I walked away, I wasn't over it. So that's why my next relationship, why I went through so much in it, because I didn't heal from that one. My advice to someone that is going through it, as I know as hard as it may seem, but this is coming from somebody that has been through it, walk away. You have to choose yourself first. You have to say, I am worth more than this. Your life could end. Not everybody's story is going to end up like mine. I know people who have died in situations. So you have to choose yourself first. Yeah, you may love this person, but you have to love yourself more. And listen, the physical abuse hurts, but the mental abuse stays for a long time, and it takes a while to heal. So you have to learn to go through your healing process. It's going to hurt. Nothing that's worth it comes easy. So, like I said, leave. You have to choose yourself first. And if you need to seek help, there's so much help out there. And listen to your friends. They know the best for you. And I know these guys, they always try to make a divide between you and your friends. And, but he didn't do that to me, because he knew, like, my friendships were so strong, so he couldn't do that. But what he would do was, like, he would always tell me, nobody ain't going to want you. All these niggas going to want to do is have sex with you and leave. And so every time we would break up, like, have these little breaks, and I would try to date other guys, and it was like that was kind of the thing. So I started to believe, like, nobody's not going to really want me. He's the only one that really, like, cares for me and loved me. And then I kind of believed that for so long. So, yeah.
So, sippers, earlier this week, the New York Post headlined a story, a man who had been rescued after he accidentally trapped himself in a tunnel that he dug so he could spy on his former girlfriend. The newspaper El Universal said that the man dug a tunnel under the woman's house. The woman even told police that for over a week she had been hearing scratching and clawing noises, but she assumed it was a cat. But when the sound got louder, she went to see for herself, and long and behold, this fool, she found her former partner of 14 years trapped in a hole. As crazy as this may seem, we can all attest that we've either been the one trapped in the tunnel or the ex-girlfriend being spied on. So ladies, What is the craziest thing you either have done for love or have been the victim of or a victim to?
Okay, so I'm going to be very honest this segment because I already told y'all the backstory of my marriage. You know, when I got married, it's like by the time we got to that point, I was already second guessing it, but I went through with it. So during that time, I just wasn't happy because I felt like we weren't growing together. We had different, like we were on different paths. We wanted different things out of life. So I've never spied on anyone or anything to catch them cheating. I've driven to people's houses, sat outside, and then my mind will be like, why are you doing this? You know, if you're feeling it, then obviously it's happening. And then I would just leave. So I've never caught someone cheating. But my ex-husband, he did catch me cheating. Okay, so he was very possessive. Like, I mean, there was a time I was home because I used to stay home at one point, and he was at work, and he used to come home on his lunch break every day, and then we'll eat lunch together and whatever. And this particular day, I wanted to hang out with my two sisters, and they wanted to go to the beach. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the beach. And so I left. I didn't leave a note or anything. I just left and went with him and went to the beach. He called my mom, and he was like, Ma, where's Shay? She not in the house. Like, in a panic because I'm not there. And so so then he called her back, and he was like, oh, never mind. I see her bathing suit missing. I see these particular sandals missing, so she must be at the beach. That's crazy because I'm like, how was somebody, you know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, I remember one time, 2 incidents. I was driving to St. Pete to see another guy.
Oh, Lord, how many times you cheated?
A lot. Well, this particular, did I cheat? I probably did cheat. I don't know, but I was driving to go see a guy in St. Pete. And I'm thinking I'm getting away with something. Like, I told my mom a whole story because I know he gonna call her, and I know they in cahoots together. So I told her story so that when she talked to him, she gonna tell him the same story, same lie. So not knowing that this fool done already set the mileage on my car.
That's crazy.
So that when I get back from my trip, he already know how far I've driven, already known the distance, you know, known that I probably went to Tampa or Orlando, somewhere, because he knows the distance. So that was one incident. Another incident, I started seeing another guy. And
Hopefully he doesn't watch this show.
he might be watching it, but it's true. It's
right.
true, you know? Another incident, I met a guy, and, you know, I was talking to him or whatever, and we were texting all the time, and we set up a particular date so I can go to his house, and I went over his house, and next thing I know, guess who's knocking on the door? My husband. And how did he find this out? Because for months, you know, my cell phone was on the same plan with his. So every text message, every exchange, he's seen it all because he had it set up to where when I text, he'll get the text. So, I mean, he really went through the extremes and really outsmarted me and taught me some things like, you know, that I didn't even know people could do. So, that was crazy.
Psychotic.
When I was high school, I can recall dating this guy who I was madly in love with. And I would literally go to every club because he was a clubber. So every weekend he's at the club. And I would go every weekend to the club to see what he's doing. And you know what? you get in there and you get your feelings hurt. Like they say, you
gonna
find what you're looking for. And I found it every weekend. And I still went back every week to him. And he was just so sloppy and disrespectful with it. But it was like, girl, love yourself. Move on. This man is not stunting you. And he was older. I was in high school. But yeah, that was the craziest thing I did. The craziest thing that's been done to me is stalking. I had multiple people stalk me. That's why I am very private and I don't show people where I live. Like, I have to know that you're going to be here long term before I start to show people where I live, because I don't need nobody stalking me. I've been stalked too many times. So, no, I don't want to be stalked. So that's it. Nothing crazy. Too crazy.
The craziest thing that I did was I had an old phone and I had put it in my ex's car and turned on the GPS. So it was one time I kept calling. He didn't answer the phone. So I went to where the GPS led me to go. I had borrowed a girlfriend's car. That's why when you think about some of these things, Lord.
That's something I did.
I borrowed a girlfriend's car, and he ended up finally calling me back, but I was already set in motion. So I was parked in front of the house that he was at, not directly in front of it, but I had a visual of it. And he finally called me back, and he's like, oh, I'm at so-and-so's house. I fell asleep on the couch. And I said, oh, yeah? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I'm gonna be heading home soon. Meet me at my house. And I said, oh, okay. But all along, he's walking out. I'm looking at him, and sure enough, he bust my bubble because he was at it was a guy's house.
Oh my God!
So I did all of that for no reason. So I had to do like 100 miles an hour to drive to my friend, drop the car off, get my car, drive, because, yeah, I was boo-boo the fool. The craziest thing that has happened to me is that I used to date this guy, and he knew where I lived. And one time he was like, I had called it quits, like, okay, whatever, we don't need to go back and forth, like, it's over. But I did have feelings, strong feelings for him, but it just was too much. Like, I was just like, I can't do this no more. So one time he kept calling me and I never answered the phone, and I was outside walking my dog. And as I'm walking the dog, he finally calls me and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, nothing. I'm at my mom's house. And he was like, how you at your mom's house? And I'm right here. And he was walking in my neighborhood. I was so scared because I'm like, one, he caught me right in the lie. But I was scared, like, why would you come over here? Obviously, I'm not answering your calls. I'm dodging your calls. I just lied, and then now you're saying, "Well, I'm right here." You're right here. Go home. What are you doing? So, I think that's the craziest thing that has happened to me.
Well, I have a lot of crazy stories.
But the craziest thing I ever did, I did a lot of crazy things, I think. But one of them, I did put my phone in my ex-boyfriend's car. I wanted to see if he was cheating on me, and he was. I tracked him, and long and behold, he was at the mother of his child's home. But you know how guys, they like to switch up the story, so I had to leave the phone in the car for a couple of days to track him. And another thing I did, this is going to sound so pathetic. So my foot was broken, right? And he wasn't picking up my phone call. It was like late night. I think it was like, I used to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning every day for some reason. And he wasn't picking up. I'm like, why would I think he would pick up at 5 in the morning? I don't know. So you know what I did? I took my crutches. I took my mama van. I went to his house. But I'm the type of person, I'll do crazy stuff, but I don't want nobody to think I'm crazy. So I didn't want to go through the gate. So I went outside the gate. I parked the van. Mind you, my foot is broken. I parked the van. I walked to the gate so I could
On
see.
your crunches.
No, I left the crutches in the car. I walked to the gate to see if his car was outside, and it was outside. I was like, oh, I'm so dumb. Like,
So you did all that for no reason.
Girl. And the craziest thing that that was done to me, the same guy, he kept blowing me up. I was trying to get over him. I wasn't picking up. And he didn't know where I worked. He didn't know, but he knew where I lived. So, but he didn't know what time I would get off because he didn't know if I had a job for real. So one day I got off work. I got home at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just walking up. Mind you, there's no street lights. It's dark. Haitians don't put on their lights outside. So it's porch lights. Ain't no porch light. You going up to the... I see someone. I'm at the door. He's like, oh, so this where you work at? I'm like, what? Yes. He came up behind me. And mind you, that means he was hiding underneath one of the cars. And who knows how long he was there because he didn't know where I worked, so he didn't know what time I got off. So it's just like, I don't know how long he was waiting at my house. Outside, I don't know if he was hiding in the bushes, by the garbage, underneath the car, but he was hidden because I pulled up behind the car so I could see the whole house.
The light.
Yeah. So crazy. Yeah. I stay away from them.
All right, sippers, we'd love to keep the tea spilling, but unfortunately we're running out of time. But you can keep the conversation going by leaving your comments below on our Facebook or on our Instagrams at Cocktails and Conversations.
Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media. See you Monday night at 8 p.m. for Cocktails and Conversations with your girls.
Good night.